The Kentucky Wildcats come to town. And I think if you're going power rankings wise, maybe standings wise as well, I think this is the worst team in the SEC this year. They're 2-2 so far this season. And it just has been bad. They have 2 passing touchdowns in the first 4 games of the season.
They've already made a quarterback change too.
Yeah, and it's
Cutter Boley.
Yeah, Zach Calzada. Shockingly, the Sugar Hill, Georgia great. Zach Calzada. I'm repping Sugar Hill, by the way, if you were wondering. But yeah, shockingly, he didn't pan out for this one. But yeah, I mean, Cutter Boley, I guess, has been better, if you want to say that. But I mean, this team got blown out. I mean, nice start to the South Carolina game a week ago. Then they ended up getting blown out 35-13. Like, they didn't even blow out Toledo in the opener, 24-16. They did play Ole Miss strong. You know, they played Georgia tough in that SEC opener a year ago. So maybe Kentucky just knows how to come out in their SEC opener at home and give teams a tough game. But I mean, you look at this series, like right now, I mean, Georgia isn't great statistically. Like, you know, who knows what to make of these kind of national stats statistically anyway. But right now, Georgia's 38th in the country in total offense. Kentucky's 99th. Georgia's 47th in points per game. Kentucky's 80th. Georgia's 47th in defensive points per game. Kentucky's 101st. And then scoring defense, Georgia's 43rd, and Kentucky is 82nd. And I think, you know, hopefully, maybe this is just the optimistic Georgia fan. I think Georgia's sitting at 19 points per game allowed after playing maybe the 2 best offenses in the SEC. I hope the 2 best offenses in the SEC, and that we're not just looking that Georgia's going to get gashed by everybody. But the current streak, Georgia's won 15 straight. For those of you who remember the 2009 loss with Joe Cox and company, I believe was it Washawn Ely? I think that fumbled on the goal line, like going in. I think it was like a situation where Joe Cox like bumped into the running back, and I'm just gonna trust that the 5th-year senior quarterback knew which way the play was gonna go, and I'm gonna blame on the running back.
Never messed that up.
It's like there's things that Joe Cox didn't get right, but I trust that he knew the playbook. But that was the last loss in this series back in 2009. Georgia's won 26 of the last 28 in this series. But what are your thoughts? I guess early thoughts going into this week for this noon kickoff versus Kentucky.
Kentucky is just in a dire offensive situation. You know, they've already made the quarterback change, and Boley didn't really come out and look particularly good at all against South Carolina. He turned the ball over twice. I think he completed maybe half of his pass attempts. They really want to be the team that's physical and runs the ball, and they've been good at that throughout Mark Stoops' time there. I mean, Kirby Smart today was super complimentary of just the way they can play so physical, and you saw that last year. They almost beat Georgia last year because they just beat the hell out of them on the line of scrimmage that whole game. But that to say, when you're when you just have no semblance of a passing attack, and there's just no way for you to throw the ball in the air, and teams can key in on you and just shut down to stopping the run, dare your receivers, dare your quarterback to do something through the air, and you know that they can't do it. You can't win in the SEC that way these days. I mean, they were getting beat by South Carolina pretty handily the whole game. And they were still running the ball when they were down multiple scores because it was just the only thing that they could do. And that's what like high school offenses do, you know, like when they just know they can't throw the ball. So I know that Kentucky played Georgia really tough last year, almost beat them, really would have beat them 9 times out of 10 in that game. But this year's team is just much worse. I still even now. I mean, last year's team wasn't good, but this year's team is worse. Georgia's coming off a really emotional loss. They lost the one game that everyone told them they couldn't lose. I think they're going to come out pretty frustrated, and I think, unfortunately, the Kentucky Wildcats will be they'll be the ones that it gets taken out on.
Yeah, I'm with you. I hope everything's all right over there by you, Bo. I'm hearing the sirens. Hope they're
Yeah,
not out to
I
get
don't
you
know
over
what
there.
side. I mean, I think everything's fine.
But yeah, I'm thinking Georgia can definitely duplicate the template that South Carolina had a week ago. Like Lenore Sellers, 11 for 14, 150 yards. Then you run for 178 against Kentucky in this one. They did throw 2 interceptions, and Georgia hasn't been forcing a lot of turnovers to this point in the season. So hopefully Georgia can force some turnovers, and South Carolina got the defensive touchdown as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Alabama is actually third worst. So what is that? 13th in the 14th in the conference and rushing defense to this point. Kentucky is 13th at this point with really just the games for South Carolina and Ole Miss. So, I don't know how that compares to Alabama. I guess Alabama just has the one SEC game, and then obviously got torched by Florida State on the ground. But yeah, I tend to think I hate the noon game after the big emotional letdown. I mean, I would hope that being pissed off after a loss is enough to be motivated for the next one. But the fact that it's Kentucky, if this was a Mississippi State noon game, this was Auburn noon game the following week, I might be a little more worried. Like, even though those teams, like, I mean, not to put Mississippi State and Auburn on the same level, Mississippi State is an actually competent team to this point.
They look good.
But yeah, like one of those teams that's like the 10th to 12th best team in the SEC. Like, I might be worried about one of those. I think Kentucky's literally the worst team in this conference right now. I think Georgia has no business not running all over Kentucky. Yeah. Let me put it that way. Like, I think with how they were able to run all over Alabama, ran all over Tennessee as well. So this run game appears to be back. Maybe it's not the exciting offense people want to see when it comes to we want to see Gunner go out there and throw it for 300 yards and everything. We're probably not going to see that. We're probably going to, if everything's going according to plan, I think Gunner probably throws the ball 15, 16 times. And then maybe Ryan Puglisi has a handful of attempts in this game, and Georgia just wins it by 4 touchdowns. But this Kentucky game isn't always that easy. There's not a lot that are decided by 4 touchdowns. Like, just off the top of my head, I mean, 2023, they hung a 50 spot on them.
They put up 50 on them last time they came to Athens.
Yeah, but I think the time before that, 2021, it was game day, and they were like a top 10 team.
They had a quarterback, though. Like, they actually had a good team that year. Georgia still smoked them.
But it was a boring game, because I remember I was at that one, and it was just like a 24-10. Like, it was just kind of a boring, like, Georgia didn't really blow them out, but it was never really competitive kind of thing. Because they had that drive. They had like an 11-minute touchdown drive or something to maybe score for the first time that game or something. Because that was like the thing. Remember, in 2021, it was like a storyline of like the final drive of everyone's game. It's like, oh, can you finally score a touchdown against this Georgia defense? So it felt like a thing. But yeah, it's like they weren't trying to win that game. Like, if you go on an 11-minute drive, like down 3 touchdowns, like, you're not really trying to win a game. It's like what you're talking about, high school offense. Like, you just do what you do, and you only know how to move the ball 3 yards in a cloud of dust. So you're just going to keep moving it that way. But yeah, I think you look at what this Kentucky offense has been to this point. Like, it just hasn't been good. Cutter Boley we're talking about. They did run for some yards against South Carolina. Seth McGowan had 17 for 112 on the ground. So, but 108 yards on 41 carries isn't exactly running the ball well. So, I don't know. I'm not sure what all we can say about this Kentucky game. Like, this shouldn't be a game. Like, I don't know. I don't know what else to say. This isn't Benny Snell and was it Chris Rodriguez? Like, when Kentucky had legitimate, like, first team, second team, all SEC type of backs. Wandale Robinson, yeah.
Did you see what London Humphreys said about the noon kickoff today? I thought it was funny.
Oh, no, I didn't.
He was like, he said something. He's like, oh, like, I love noon kickoffs. Like, they're my favorite time to kick off. And he's like, I call them donut games. It's because you can wake up, eat a donut, and then you play the game. I just thought that was really funny.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess so. Yeah, I'll take his word. He knows more than I do about that.
Yeah. But yeah,
But
no, Georgia should roll in this one. I think that this is gotta be, you can't come out here hungover from the Bama game and put up a stinker. You just can't afford to do that. And I don't think that they will. I think they're gonna bounce back in this one.
yeah, so what's the what's the number one thing you want to see from Georgia this week coming off that Alabama loss?
I just want to see them. I mean, I know this is a cliche, but I really just want to see them play hard and play aggressive early. I know that it's the worst team in the SEC, but you don't need to treat these guys like cupcakes. You still need to come out there and try and start fast and dominate early. And I just think I want to see them do that. It's an inferior opponent. I'm not saying you need to go out there and run up the score. Do what you do and be classy about it. But this is just a much better team, top to bottom. Every position group Georgia has is better than every position group Kentucky has. And you better go out there and make it look like that.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think just from like a specific point of view, and maybe it's a low bar, but we got to get off the field on third down. Yes. Like this 13 of 19 on third down is just the most absurd thing I've ever seen. The most third downs Georgia's given up in like 30 something years in a game. Like it was just honestly embarrassing the way Georgia wasn't able to get off the field on third down. So yeah, just to see this defensive line get some tackles for loss. Hey, maybe even a sack. I don't know. I know Kentucky's not gonna throw the ball a lot, so maybe a sack isn't in the cards, but get some tackles for loss, get some 3 and outs. Like I think that's the biggest thing when I go back and look at that Alabama game, and you look at the box score or specifically like the play-by-plays, it's just the number of drives. Like you got 2 drives in the fourth quarter. You got like 2 drives in like the second quarter or something. Like it was just your defense needs to get off the field, give this team 3 or 4 possessions in a quarter, like, and just see what they can do. Cause I feel like the offense on a points per play, points per drive kind of thing was not bad in the Alabama game, but they just didn't have enough drives. Like the defense needs to get off the field. Georgia can't afford to be a team that's losing the time of possession battle 35-25. Like obviously this is a kind of projecting moving forward because neither of us are worried about Kentucky beating Georgia, knock on wood, famous last words. But I just think you want to see a dominant performance against an inferior team. And that's what, they're not a cupcake. This isn't Marshall. This isn't Austin Peay, but a lot of people were kind of disappointed with how the lack of domination in those games. So go out and put up a 40 spot on Kentucky, win this thing 38-10 or something like that, 41-10, and just put it on Kentucky. And let's let everyone know, like, look, we lost to Alabama. This is still one of the contenders in the SEC.
Yeah, that and get out of there with no injuries, and you're good, I think.
Yeah, I think that's a good call. I'm curious. I guess to this point, I would think Ellis Robinson is cornerback too. DeMello Jones did play a lot, but it sounds like Daniel Harris is not part of the equation at this point. And maybe that's different versus Kentucky because it's not Alabama. But and I think I'm curious to see what that running back rotation looks in this game. Chauncey Bowens and Josh McCray seem to be the 2 best in that room. And if Nate Frazier can't hang on to the ball, like you can't play. So like that's the easiest way to lose playing time. So I'm curious to see, Dwight Phillips didn't get a lot of carries in that Alabama game. Maybe he gets back in the mix. Cash Jones, I hate the amount of hate Cash Jones is getting. He's just a guy who does his job. And I'm sure he can break a tackle like that. But everyone kind of knows he's not what some of those other guys are, and you would have liked to have seen a different guy getting that ball in that 4th and 1 a week ago. But Cash Jones, I'm sure he can make a difference in this game as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of room for a lot of guys to make plays in this game. We'll just have to see what. I mean, I'm curious to see how many more chances they give Frazier. How many fumbles is Frazier away from just not playing the rest of the year? We'll just have to see.
I can't.
I'm a guy. I believe in him, but he's fumbling a lot.
I can't remember a scenario of another Georgia running back at least under Kirby Smart, fumbling this much, like and still playing. Like I just can't remember. I don't know. I remember Washawn Ely and Caleb King. Maybe they had some fumbles back in the day, as long as we're revisiting 2009, 2010. But yeah, I don't know. I can't think of many guys. Like Adrian Peterson is one of the only great running backs I can ever remember like that.
Yeah.
That had fumble issues. And if you're Adrian Peterson, yeah, maybe you can get away with that. Nate Frazier, you're not Adrian Peterson. So you got to hold on to that
What he
ball.
is. Yeah. Absolutely.
Last question here. Georgia Gal, one more. What do y'all think Kirby is saying in the locker room this week to make sure last weekend is not a defining game for our season? Bo, you want to take that?
I would imagine it's just a lot of just, remember who you are. You can't nowadays, especially in college football, if you lose a regular season game, they give you 3 extra lives because of the expanded playoffs. So, they know that they're not done yet. They know that their season isn't over yet. And Kirby, I think they do a good job of recruiting kids that think like that on their own, who don't really need a lot of extra motivation. But yeah, I would at least imagine from an outsider's perspective that they're just, you got to put it behind you. You got to keep going at it and just keep working.
Yeah, I don't know what the exact verbiage is, but this is like one of those things Kirby Smart talks about all the time of just like not letting one game beat you twice. Basically, I think he literally said something along those lines in the post game press conference after Alabama. But yeah, I mean, I think if there's anything that like I trust when it comes to like, people might scoff at me putting Kirby Smart and Nick Saban in the same conversation, but just I think that's where those two guys are like unmatched. Is it's like the every week thing, just like the getting your team ready to play every single week. Because that's the thing I think most people aren't really factoring in this year and last year. It's like because of the slow first halves, it feels like Georgia, we're not ready to play in the first half, and it's like maybe we're not that good. It's like maybe 2024, like Kirby said, it was his best coaching job of his career. Maybe he knew that team didn't have the talent that those previous 3 or 4 teams had, and somehow they won the SEC, and he's pretty proud of that. So I think on a week to week basis, Kirby knows how to get this team ready to play, and he'll get them ready to play. So we might be the fans might be napping a little bit, might be snoozing, filing in late for that noon kickoff. I don't recommend filing in late, man. Those concourses are tight. I'm sure it's not all the same as that Alabama game, but it was a little traffic jam there for a minute. But yeah, it's I trust that Kirby will get this team ready to play. But yeah, you want to see a better performance this week. I don't think necessarily last week was an awful performance. It wasn't good enough to beat, maybe the best team you've played so far. So, if they come out and play the way they did against Alabama, it's probably good enough to beat Kentucky by multiple scores. But you just want to see, less mistakes more than anything. The fumbles, the missed blocks, like you want to see execution, and I trust playing against the worst team in the SEC, Georgia's going to come out and take care of business.
Yeah, I think we've not seen the last of the 2025 Bulldogs. I don't think the Alabama loss needs to define the season just yet.
Yeah, definitely not. Let's see our preseason score predictions. Let's see if we want to stand by them. Ooh,
yeah.
You went with a very
What
interesting score.
What did I say?
You had 24-3 in this one. I wonder how Georgia fans are going to feel about 24-3. That'll feel like a sleepy Kentucky type of game.
That would be covering the spread.
That would be covering the spread. I had a 34-10 coming in. That would not be. Wait, that would be covering the spread as well. That's 24 points. Yeah, I guess I'll stand by that. You feeling your 24-3?
I'll give them one more touchdown. I'll go 31-3.
31-3. Okay.
But
yeah, I wouldn't. I like 31-3 more than 24-3. That feels a little more dominant.